that I could have them up all on the same channel and all that stuff, but at this point, I'm just so used to doing it that way, and it's probably from having limited CPU from back in the day. It's like I can't put all these plugins up because I'm going to just kill my computer. So, right. So when I start, I always pull up the same reverb, which is just the Altiverb cello room is like kind of my favorite, or cello plate or chamber. Sorry. That's kind of like my starting reverb, and I love the Valhalla. I love the UAD. The Capital one's gorgeous. Man, there's so many good plugins, and I think that I can never really decide. Like every week, I prefer something different, and I just kind of recycle through these plugins, and so a template just kind of would, I think, ruin that for me. So. It's honestly, I have a mix bus preset that I'll just throw on, and with that tube loading thing and the fab filter, that's about it. That's where I start.
I admire your courage and exploratory nature.
Don't confuse my courage for ignorance, please. No, I think it's just the less I see, the better too. Maybe that's just that helps me out a lot. You know what I mean? There's no reason for me to have a stereo chorus bus made if I'm not going to use it on anything. You know, if I need that, I'll think of it and then add it in, kind of thing.
I totally get it. In terms of like monitoring, I know you're like in a smallish room. What is like, you know, I'm assuming you're working on speakers. How have you been able to make it work?
Well, for a long time, I had those JBL LSRs, which had that room correction mode in, and those were great. They were a little scooped, mid scooped. So I have a pair of Auratone, just those little guys, the little cubes. Those helped a lot. And then just this last year, I bought some Dyne Audio LYD 48s, the 3-ways. And I kind of went with those because they have some options on the back to like boost the low end, whether your speakers are against the wall or out into the room. And then it's got a plus or minus on the top end. Of course, I haven't touched those things. They just sounded fine out of the get-go. But being that I am in a smaller space, I don't mix very loud, which is nice. I try not to. And I think just like with anybody, I think my biggest issues are just like lows and low mids. I mean, I think whenever I mix in a big room too, it's like it's the same areas. It's like, I don't know. I think you just you're used to hearing what you hear. And I'll switch to headphones like the Sennheiser 650s. I'll jump to those a little bit here and there. But yeah, mostly I really like the Dyne Audios, and it's really helped me in the last 2 years. The mids are a lot more detailed, so I'm able to kind of get the tonality of the mixes into a better spot. No sub. I don't need a sub. The room is, and I got treatments all over the place. You know, it's basically just a big vocal booth at this point. You know what I mean? Because you could clap your hands anywhere and it's just dead. So I have to add all the ambience in when I mix with reverbs and stuff like that, which is fun. So I love that stuff. So, but yeah, just keeping things. Once I start cranking my monitors, I really start to hear those extended frequencies that my room is, because my room is imperfect, you know? So I definitely got to keep them back. And that helps me mix at a volume that's not going to, destroy my hearing in 5 years.
Yeah, that's great. The low volume thing. And the headphones for, the quality assurance is always a handy move. Yeah, I actually got Sennheiser HD600s at my mastering engineer's recommendation. Just because, sometimes I need to work at night and I got speakers and I'm not going to blast them when I have, my son sleeping. So,
100%.
Home studio logistics, and it's important.
Right, yeah. And also, I like the headphones, too, for clicks and pops, if I miss them, for fades and making sure, because you just hear that stuff so much better on headphones. So when I get kind of close to the end of my mix, I'll throw those on, just make sure I'm not missing any weird notes. I don't know, you can just hear that stuff when it's just jammed right into your ears a little bit better. But for the overall feel, I'm probably 85 on the monitors and 15% on headphones for sure.
Yeah, and you don't no card test at this point. It's just
Yeah, well, I just
wrap it in the studio.
I had a Saturn for 12 years that had the worst stereo in it. It's like I got a new car last year. It's like, so that part it's gone. It's like I know if the low end's like, because the speakers were probably blown, so if I had like too much low end, it just like would rattle in the worst way. So that helped me out a lot. But yeah, I feel pretty confident with the Dynaudios. It's funny because, even those first 2 months were scary as hell with new monitors. It was nuts. I was so deathly afraid to print anything because you just had to I had to relearn it, And but luckily, they've worked. I knew they were listenable and I could work on them for long periods of time, and that was the big thing for me. I didn't want anything too aggressive that was going to give me too much fatigue, like NS10s and stuff like that, which I know people love and they're great, but I can't work on those for a long period of time.
Yeah, totally. I ditched the Yamaha HS80s for some focals, and they're so much less high mid, and the mid is so much better. It's a game changer. It's so much less fatiguing.
Focals are. I haven't heard a bad focal monitor yet. Honestly,
I'm not even on such expensive ones. I'm on the Shape Twins. So
yeah, but still, like my buddy has a pair of the more inexpensive ones, and I love them. They sound gorgeous. Yeah, and you learn whatever you have in front of you. I think if you spend enough time on them, you're going to be able to mix on them. It's just a matter of getting used to that, getting used to your room, all those things. Because I'm never gonna. I don't even know if I've ever attempted to mix in a perfect room before. I probably wouldn't even know what to do. You know what I mean?
Right. I think there's some there's like some psychoacoustic things going on that you could kind of hear through the room almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like the room. Sure, the room is lying to you, but there are some things that your ear is able to kind of do right, anyways. If that, I think. That's my hunch.
Yeah, and working with, like you said before, that relationship with the mastering engineer, it's like I work with a couple of really, really great mastering engineers, and they've really, really helped me get into some of my problem areas in my mixes and educate me on how to make them better. And then, I send them another project, and they're like, dude, low end is perfect. Didn't have to touch it. That kind of stuff. It's like, well, that's because you helped me out. You know what I mean? That's super useful.
It's also back to the relationship thing of just like having more relationships in this business makes it better. I don't know. I've gone on this tangent a bunch of times on the podcast, but just like the man cave, woman cave thing is just it's so unhealthy, and we're so used to it because. The great thing is that the technology is in all of our hands, but the bad thing is that we've lost a lot of the community, and you have to seek it out. And maybe it's through the mastering engineer or a mixing engineer you're working with, or someone that you're sending things out to. It's just like get other people on the line and just chat.
Yeah. Well, and after making I don't know how many solo records and all that stuff, it's like I can honestly say that making music with other people is way more fun.
Yeah,
way more fun than when you're by yourself. At least for me, that's how I see it. So, if someone wants to come in and sit behind me and while I'm mixing, and they have a great idea, it's like, yeah, I'm listening. Let's do it. Just I love that. It's there's no idea is worth ignoring. I guess it's everybody. It comes from somewhere. So. Take a second to explore that, unless it's a drummer, saying the idea, and then you just go, it's the drummer. I'm just kidding.
They'll just spontaneously explode on stage, anyways, after your amp turns to 11. So,
I'm just surprised they speak English. Yeah, it's a joke. Sorry, I have way too many drummer friends that I have to rip on constantly, but you don't have to. Yeah,
drummers are so musical. Love me, my drummers.
Me too. Me too.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, just creative energies. We got kind of, we all have days where we're psyched to get into the studio, and then there's days where we're not as psyched. Do you have any maybe routines, habits, anything you do that kind of helps you feel energized and creatively, motivated to do the work you do every day?
Oh man, that's a great question. I mean, obviously caffeine is a huge component on getting into the right headspace. My morning's a little different now, obviously. Like I get up, I take my daughter to school. I usually have about a half an hour to kind of chill out. I like to kind of get ready for the session, and that's kind of therapeutic for me. So it's like if it's like a drum session, I'll kind of make some decisions and plug some microphones in and kind of get closer to the finish line of what I need to do. And I'll just throw on like a record. I have a turntable down here, and I'll throw on a record and keep it just really quiet in the background. And just that kind of gets me going. That's about it. It's not really anything too in particular. If I know what we're going to be doing, as far as like whoever's coming in, that definitely having a little bit of a game plan helps us get right to the creative part instantly. So yeah, nothing too crazy. Just kind of like coffee and a little bit of music and session prep. I really love like plugging cables in when no one's here and just making microphone choices when no one's here. And I don't know, I find that's a lot of fun for me. It's kind of super, super geeky, but it's fun.
Yeah, I love it, man. I also enjoy just setting up the mic, getting ready for a session. There's something very, like you said, therapeutic. It's just like, okay, going through the motions. You're getting ready, but the client's not there yet, so you're not stressed out. That's
right.
It's nice. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Awesome. So obviously, I'm not going to let you go until we do the sauce segment. So you sent me a track called "The World Is Mine" by The Legal Matters. So let's have a listen to that for about 90 seconds, and we'll talk about what went into it. Sound cool?
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Mine, go stand in line while your bleeding heart is beating like a drum. Don't forget to run. The world is mine. Can't you see the sign? We've taken all you've written and undone. Go and grab your gun.
Yeah, Andy, I love this track. It's super cool. What is that keyboard sound? Ba, ba, da, ba, ba. What is that? What's going on over there?
Okay, so this is actually a song that I wrote and sang for the Legal Matters.
Oh, you're the lead. So you're the lead vocalist as well.
I'm the lead vocalist as well. Yep. So I did a lot of the parts on this one. So the piano sound is actually the Mrs. Mills piano, which is like a Beatle piano plug-in, like the super tacky one, through a Leslie simulator. So it's just a total Beatle ripoff, Elliott Smith ripoff, whatever you want to call it, all the way around. So it's just like a Leslie piano.
Sounds awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So the riff is through that, and then like I said, I'm not a strong swimmer, and the regular like dun da doom bam boom bam ba doom. I had to play that with like two different tracks because I'm just not a good piano player. So like I did the bass piano on one track and then the other one on the other track. So there's honestly like three pianos on that, but it's just because I can't play that well. And one had the Leslie on it. So that track was a super fun one. It's kind of a song that kind of came together pretty quick for me. It's essentially just like four verses, and I just had this idea of just making it more intense and more jarring as the track went, because it's kind of about this intense and jarring type of person. And oddly enough, the lead vocal was my scratch vocal, because I was just like I tried re-singing it and it just didn't have the energy or anger that one had. And that's just through a BK5B, that ribbon mic. And I distorted the preamp on the way in, so that's all just like normal distortion.
Nice.
Because because I didn't care. I was like, I didn't care. I'm just like, well, this is just for the demo. I want a little bit of distortion, and I'll just crank the preamp up. And so it's just kind of a happy accident, and I actually sang it all right. And I just could never recreate it. I couldn't get the energy. And then my buddy Donnie came in and played drums on it. He plays on all the Legal Matter stuff, and he really brought some energy to it. And kind of had an idea I wanted for groove, and then I'm just like, at the end, I just want you to play out, just overplay, because he's a singer, songwriter, drummer. So he doesn't like to, he just wants to keep things very simple and groove based. And I'm just like, it needs to be chaotic. You need to play out. You need to overplay. So he kind of did that, and